Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. My name is Muhammad Haziq bin Amdan, and my group will present about Petronas. Petronas, or as known as Malaysian Oil and Gas Trade Petroleum Nasional Berhad, is known as Petronas. This organization was established in 1974 and it is completely possessed by the government of Malaysia. Government of Malaysia is in charge of creating and improving the esteem of all Malaysian oil and gas assets. The company is included in a wide extent of petroleum-related exercise, such as upstream oil and gas investigation and generation to downstream oil refining, promoting and dispersion of petroleum items. Petronas also developed the oil and gas company in 35 countries. They also gather the 103 completely possessed auxiliary as of the conclusion of work 2005. The history of Petronas. The Royal Dutch Shell began the oil mining at Miri, Sarawak before the creation of Malaysia, taking after Charles Brook 1909 marking of the primary oil mining run. The primary oil well in Miri was made in 1910. Afterward, the Grand Old Lady title was given to this oil well. The oil also found in Brunei in 1929, and there were no extra penetrating operation in British Malaya or Borneo. Next, I will explain about the mission and vision of Petronas. The mission of Petronas is the Petronas mission statement was created to clarify the organization goal, reinforce its vision, and specify the corporate cause for accomplishing the vision. Meanwhile, the vision of Petronas is to be a leading oil and gas multinational company of choice stated. Petronas mission statement. This is article underline the centrality of coordinate upstream and downstream exercise in including esteem to the basic asset and depicted oil and gas as the core trade. Petronas need to supply more weight to gas and petrochemical in accordance with the downstream industry drift and the significance within the esteem chain. So, this is the objective of Petronas, which is increase the share of revenue from international operation by 30% in year 2005, creating value to the company at 58 billion ringgit by year 2005, and to acquire 1 billion of oil equivalent by year 2000. Now, I will explain about the conflict that faced by Petronas, which is Petronas in talk to settle sales tax dispute with energy-rich Malaysian state. According to Reuters, the chairman of Petronas resigned after having a dispute with Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin over the May settlement. The May settlement called for Petronas to pay over 2 billion ringgit to Sarawak, which is administered by an ally of the government. In November, Sarawak filed a lawsuit against Petronas, arguing that the national oil firm was the only energy business operating in the state that had not paid a sales tax that was increased to 5% on January 1, 2019. When it went into effect, the Petronas, which has the federal government as the only shareholder and hence is required to pay tax to the federal government, has contacted Sarawak ability to levy the tax. That's all from me. Next, I will share it to my friend. I will pass to my friend.
So for the next is here of the Sultanate of Sulu Sizai Petronas asset. The Financial Times say that two companies in Azerbaijan have been taken over by the descendants of the Sultan Sulu. These people here want to Malaysia pay them in 14.92 billion US dollar, which is same as RM 62.59 billion. It has been said that the claimant lawyer have been seized the asset of the Petronas registered in Luxembourg, including Petronas Azerbaijan and Petronas South Caucasus, which are thought to be the worth more than 2 billion US dollar together. The move is part of the lawsuit that here of the Sultan of Sulu filed in 2017 to get money for land in Sabah. That their ancestor led to British trading company 1878, according them to the descendant of the Sultan Sulu, said the encounter rented of the land. So for the next is the oil and gas industry are facing talent charge. Lockdown measurements to the control is spread of the COVID-19 had a substantial effect on the employment and source of revenue across all sectors, but especially in oil and gas service and equipment industry, making employment, working upskill vital priority from the previous budget. In column OGSE, oil, gas, service, equipment. The oil and gas industry faced a crisis and challenge that were completely unexpected to the collapse in global oil price in 2014, which had a significant influence of the global economy in the middle of the year. The oil and gas industry around the world is going through a difficult period as a direct of the price of the plummeting by more than 3 times, from over 100 US dollar per barrel to regularly 40 US dollar per barrel, and even a sliding below 30 US dollar per barrel. Several challenges have arisen in the OGSE industry. Companies have been worried for a long time that they will have a trouble hiring, retaining, and promoting workers when the industry virtually improve. Unfortunately, this is still a cause for concern. Business not only face the challenge of again workforce, but also skilled workers who live for greener pasture elsewhere. So, worker is very important for the in the oil and gas industry, because without them, the oil and gas we cannot proceed, and the price will be affected. And
how the Petronas manage the conflict that they've been faced. So the first conflict is about how to settle the sales tax dispute with the energy-rich Malaysia state. So the first conflict is while attempting to negotiate a sales tax settlement with the energy-rich Malaysian state, Petronas has been engaged in a dysfunctional conflict over the company's claim that it is entitled to a monopoly on oil and gas production and distribution in Malaysia under the country's constitution and an agreement with the government. The Sarawak government alleged that Petronas is in breach of contract because it has failed to make required payment to the state of Sarawak in the form of oil and gas profit. So when both sides cannot reach an agreement, the Sarawak government took Petronas to court in Malaysia. So due to their divergent aims, they find themselves in a taxing financial struggle with one another. Arbitrations, or a form of alternative conflict resolution, is one way to avoid having to rely on the court as a natural third party in these kinds of instances. So for the second conflict, the heir of the Sultanate of Sulu seized the Petronas assets. Petronas assets were taken by descendants of the Sultanate of Sulu. This conflict is a pressing issue for the Malaysian government, Petronas, and the descendants of the Sulu today. So, for the history, on July 13, 2022, Malaysia was stunned by the seizure of Petronas assets in Azerbaijan, which led to the greatest war between Malaysia and descendants of Sulu. So, when Sulu declared war on Malaysia in order to seize Sabah, a dysfunctional struggle arose between the two sides. So the Malaysian government stated that Sulu violated the payment and leasing agreement, so Malaysia immediately ceased the payment. So alternative dispute resolution, or called as ADR, was utilized in this instance to counter the Sulu descendants' claim before the International Court. So Malaysia's role is characterized by high assertiveness or motivation to satisfy one's own interests, and low cooperation or known as motivation to satisfy the interests of others, which means they are more likely to use all their power to assist Petronas in taking legal action against the Sulu who seize their assets.
For the next slide is the managing conflict for conflict number 3. Okay. For these conflicts, the oil and gas industry are facing a talent crunch because of the significant decline in the price of oil on the global market. Petronas has had to reduce the compensation of its workers. This resulted in a large number of skilled and experienced individuals leaving the company to find employment elsewhere, where they may earn a higher salary. This conflict is a hot issue that forced by Petronas because of one of problems in the industry that haven't been solved yet. Local graduates don't have the employable skill that the industry wants. Also, the industry needs a large pool of experienced workers to stop the brain drain of experienced Malaysia oil and gas workers who leave the better jobs in other oil producing countries. Petronas 2018 study on Malaysian OGSE talent landscape show that there is a big difference in experience between new and old talent in drilling and underwater service. When different agencies work together to make plans that will make sure the talent problem is dealt with entirety, they may run into the functional conflict. As the result, the National OGSE Industry Blueprint 2021 to 2030 was made available for public use. According to this strategy, one of the most crucial things to concentrate on facilitate the expansion of the OGSE sector is a talent. Other than that, there are no adequate local training provided, and the revived curriculum for competence certification has been enhanced, both of which contribute to an increase in the overall quality of work. And for the last slide for our group is conclusion. Okay, for the conclusion, Petronas is one of the areas where oil and gas for Malaysia and the rest of the global come from. This is true for the whole planet, not only oil and gas, two of the most precious research of the planet, but they are also one of the most significant source of revenue for the government. This is due to the fact that it's a common knowledge that oil and gas play a significant role in people's everyday life. This is especially true for things like automobiles, which are dependent on oil and gas, on oil, in order to transport consumer goods, and factories, which are responsible for development but are dependent on oil and gas in order to carry out their duties. However, Petronas is expressing several challenges, including a disagreement over sales tax with energy-rich state in Malaysia. They have of the Sultanate of Sulu seizing Petronas properties and lack of competence personnel in the oil and gas business. Therefore, in order to fix the issue, Petronas did the best things possible by coming up with a number of quick and efficient remedies. If this agreement is not resolved soon, it will have a significant impact not just on the economy of Malaysia, but on the economy of whole global. Okay, that's all for our group, for our presentation. Thank you for watching.